Hello, and thank you for watching this regional forecast for the Corn Belt. I'm Andrew Pritchard, meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. We'll start off looking at temperatures across the region. We're seeing a little bit of cooler air spilling into portions of the Great Lakes and the eastern Corn Belt with temperatures in the 20s and 30s across that region. We'll be kind of held down to high temperatures in the 30s and 40s across that area. Meanwhile, in advance of an approaching area of low pressure from the northwest, we've got warm air feeding in from the southern plains into the high plains. It'll be a bit warmer stretching into the Dakotas as we head through the day today. As we look at the satellite picture, got an area of low pressure traveling from the southern plains across the mid-south, the Ohio River Valley, bringing some thunderstorms to that area. You see some lightning lighting up here early this morning and during the overnight across portions of Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, moving into Alabama later this morning. If we flip it over and look at the radar picture, you can see where those showers and storms are, generally along and south of the Ozarks and the Ohio River Valley. That's where that rain is going to be remaining for the day today. Across this region, just north of that, a bit cool and a bit chilly and cloudy thanks to that storm system as it makes its way off across the region. We'll take a look at the hazards map then for the United States from the National Weather Service. Pretty quiet across the Corn Belt. We've got our flood advisories along some of the river areas, and then we've got a dense fog advisory back across portions of western South Dakota and the sandhills of Nebraska. So we take a look at the high-resolution NAM model. We can watch both this first storm system sneaking off to the south and the east of the Corn Belt, and then we're going to turn our attention to the northwest for our next developing area of low pressure and frontal boundary that's going to try and make its way across the Corn Belt slowly over the next 5 days or so. So we'll take it into Tuesday afternoon now. Quiet across just about the entire Corn Belt. The exception going to be those rain showers across eastern portions of the Mid-South, and then we've got our first wintry weather starting to try and push into western portions of the Dakotas as the sun goes down tonight. Likely just some light rain showers across far western North and South Dakota as we head into the early overnight hours into tomorrow morning. So here's sunrise tomorrow morning on Wednesday. We've got some scattered rain showers across the upper Midwest, quiet elsewhere across the Corn Belt. As we head into the day on Wednesday, this will be noon on Wednesday, taking it into 6 p.m. on Wednesday. And again, seeing much of the precipitation falling across portions of Manitoba, just scattered showers, scattered rain, and snow showers at this point across the upper Midwest and the north, the Dakotas. So let's take it into Wednesday night, and then Thursday morning, we're starting to get a little bit more moisture drawn northward, interacting with this storm system now. Our frontal boundaries kind of draped across this region. We've got scattered rain showers, maybe a wintry mix transitioning over to some snow across the Dakotas, Minnesota, down into Nebraska, portions of Iowa starting to see those rain showers as well. But really, you can see the theme here. This thing just takes its time, moving from west to east across the Dakotas into the upper Midwest. We'll take a look at the European model in just a moment to kind of see how long it takes it before it finally makes its way across the Mississippi River Valley. I want to first check in with the temperature trends from the NAM model, and again, you'll see a couple things. The first being the cooler air kind of pushing into the Great Lakes and the eastern Corn Belt, and then the warmer air being drawn up through the high plains in advance of our approaching area of low pressure. So we'll look at the high temperatures today. We'll get it to about 4 p.m. today. And again, you see the cooler temperatures off to the east. You see the warmth being drawn up across the west and the south. You'll see that even more clearly as we head into the overnight. Temperature's going to be quite chilly across portions of the, generally along and east of the Mississippi River, the eastern Great Lakes, getting into, I should just say the Great Lakes, into the eastern Corn Belt, going to be rather chilly, dropping down to around freezing in a lot of areas overnight tonight. Tomorrow morning, you can see that warmth again surging northward through the high plains. The cooler temperatures beginning to wane across the eastern Corn Belt will start to return to average quickly across that area. You see that cold front starting to march across the Corn Belt here. This will be 1 p.m. on Thursday. The cold front stretching through Minnesota back toward portions of the of northwestern Kansas with an area of low pressure across central Kansas. Now, does that cold front really make its way all the way across the Corn Belt? We'll have to watch that here in a moment. Let's first look at the precipitation forecast, quickly going through the next couple of days, watching our two active areas here, the first being the storm system making its way out of here. This would be Tuesday evening now at 6 p.m. Let's go ahead and take it into Wednesday morning. Quickly head through the day on Wednesday and get us over to midday on Thursday. This is how far the high-resolution NAM model took us. We got that wintry precipitation across the Dakotas, some rain showers moving into portions of the of Minnesota and Iowa. We'll take it into Friday morning now. This will be Friday sunrise. Let's take it into midday Friday, Friday evening, And now by sunrise on Saturday, the cold front finally making it across the Mississippi River, seeing some of those rain showers making their way into portions of Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, down into Missouri and Arkansas on Saturday morning. We'll continue to see a bit of a showery Saturday across this region as this cold front sort of makes its way eastward, but really starts to wash out as we get into Sunday, with those showers exiting off to the east. As we get into next week, we're going to watch for a bit of a pattern change where we kind of go back to a ridge in the east and a trough in the west. And we know that is a warm pattern across the Corn Belt. We also know that is a potentially stormy pattern across the Corn Belt. And as we get into April 6th here at the end of this loop, we're already starting to see the potential for our first disturbance to develop across this region following this same trajectory that we've seen for much of the early spring so far. So looking at total precipitation through the end of the week, all the way through Sunday, we're seeing the heaviest precipitation found off to the north, where this thing kind of hangs out Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, even into part of Friday. And then you see the moisture really kind of running out as it makes its way across the Mississippi River, where portions of the eastern Corn Belt who do see some of these rain showers, I'm talking about Illinois and Indiana here, we're talking about very little precipitation, less than 1/2 of an inch expected in that area. The more heavy precipitation across the eastern Corn Belt does potentially loom next week. You also see the impacts from the storm system making its way across the Mid-South. You see anywhere from 1/2 an inch to an inch possible across portions of Kentucky and Tennessee. And then again across the central portions of the Corn Belt where that cold front makes its way in Friday and Saturday, the potential for around 1/2 an inch of precipitation. So we'll take it and look at the probability of 3 inches or more of snow accumulating with this storm system. And again, the highest potential is going to be found across the Dakotas and the northwestern portions of Minnesota. Certainly possible areas down here could see a little bit of snow mixing in, but not likely looking at much in the way of significant accumulating snow. Now here's a look at the jet stream pattern as it evolves into the next week. And again, I already kind of teased the pattern change, but we're going to see this area of low pressure, this trough, it's going to move off to the east. This one across the northwest is going to kind of anchor itself in the west. And we'll just take it into the early part of next week. We're into Friday, Saturday, getting into Monday and Tuesday of next week. Let's just stop here on April 7th, and there you see it. A classic pattern that you know well at this point, that trough in the west. That's going to allow a warm-up across the central and eastern Corn Belt, but it could absolutely turn us active again with the potential for showers and storms, and then, the potential for some severe weather again across the Ohio River Valley, the eastern Corn Belt, portions of the Mid-South into the southern U.S. We can look at the precipitation trends that follow that. We're looking at this in 5-day increments. So the next 5 days, the precipitation anomaly, we're seeing the heaviest precipitation across the northern plains, the upper Midwest, seeing some of that with the storm system making its way off to the south of the Corn Belt here over the next 48 hours. Let's take this into next week, though, and you'll watch a change evolve. Now, as we get started, I do want to, point out once again the dryness across the eastern Corn Belt, portions of the Mid-South where we badly need a dry stretch. It will be nice to dry 4 or 5 days, especially across Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. We'll have to deal with the rain across Kentucky and Tennessee today and tonight. But as we transition into next week, taking this into, let's say, April 15th, so let me bring it back here. We're talking about the time period April 10th through April 15th, and there you see the wet spot shifting back to that eastern Corn Belt, Ohio River Valley, the Mid-South, and the Southeast corridor. Again, a reflection of this pattern where it's warmer across the central and eastern Corn Belt, but it is potentially active with showers and storms, the potential for some severe weather across that area. Meanwhile, as we head into next week, the northern plains, the upper Midwest, likely getting another break in the precipitation. So temperature trends, let's watch this. The cold front trying to make its way in here. We get into Thursday, Friday, Saturday. There we see it, that push of cold air surging into the Mississippi River Valley as we get into the weekend. But watch what happens to the front. It really washes out. It does not make its way all the way across the Corn Belt. In earlier forecasts, we're kind of showing things setting up with a cooler bias across the eastern half of the U.S. Instead, the front kind of washes out. And you remember, we take that trough in the west, kind of reestablish it as we head into next week, and that allows for a big warm-up across a big section of the country. As we look at the mid-Mississippi Valley, parts of Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, even into Wisconsin and Michigan, I'm seeing a lot of 60s and some 70s across this region as we head into early next week. So we have that to look forward to, although it may come at the expense of potentially active pattern once again across this region. So we'll finish with a look at the next 5 days, our high temperatures. You see the coolness across the east, highs in the 40s in that region, 60s and 70s surging into the Dakotas. We'll look at our highs on Wednesday. Thursday, that cold front starting to make its way from northwest to southeast across the region. 50s and 60s have returned to the mid and upper Mississippi Valley. Here's our Friday high temperatures. And then Saturday, look at the difference here. You're really seeing that front wash out. You see the sharp boundary here on Thursday, a little less sharp but still defined on Friday. And by Saturday, where is your cold front? It really has washed out, and it's just left a cooler air mass in place across this region. But as we build the trough back into the western half of the U.S., once again, returning 60s and 70s to the heart of the Corn Belt. I hope you have a great day. I'll talk to you again on Friday.